former executive director, Republican Party of Virginia, also founding editor of the famous blog in Virginia, Bearing Drift, father of, I think, 8 children, married to Melissa, Shaun Kenney. Shaun, good to have you.
7 children. 7 children. Don't do that to me yet, John.
7.
And you do have to wear black ties in order to come and join Bearing Drift functions as well, just like National Review. It's great.
I don't think you guys require a black tie, but I'm really sick of these media elites, telling me what to think when they, it's like I was telling Ann the other day, like when these people go out and talk to a working fella or woman, like, they do like a media event. I went to Derry, New Hampshire and talked to working people. Let's have a media event because I don't get to do this a lot. This is like an anomaly. I'm talking to somebody that actually punches a clock every day. I mean, get out of my face. These people have no idea, Shaun, what the hell is going on out there. I'm sick of all of them, to be honest. Now, let's get to other stuff. My prediction that Donald Trump would be the Republican nominee back in May. Y'all laughed at me. Shaun, I'm going to Iowa next week. I think he's going to run the table. What do you think?
I am inclined to agree with you. Look, and here's why. I mean, obviously, simple facts are, tell the tale of the tape. I was looking at polling yesterday. Trump's at 40% in Iowa. He's probably going to do a little bit north of that, and here's why. And I think you know this too, is that nobody really knows how deep Donald Trump's support really is. We know amongst the Republican universe generally how deep it is, but there's an entire segment of America that Trump's really appealing to. There's just no question about it. It's you've got this element of whether it's independents, Democrats, new people that are coming back to the Republican Party, what have you, that Trump really appeals to. So the real question, the real distance is how many of those new individuals does Trump bring in versus how many non-primary voters that are general election of voters they're actually going to come in and participate because this has been such a high-profile primary and caucus season. So we don't know exactly how well Trump is going to do, but I think everybody's pretty well convinced that Trump's going to pull down the Iowa caucus.
I think he's going to win that, and I think he's going to win big in New Hampshire. And I agree with you, Shaun. I think his polling support is not overstated. I think it's understated. But look, we're going to find out. It's only, 8 days or so away, isn't it? Right?
It's
6 days away.
We've got another week. But here's the real catch, though, John. This is what folks need to pay attention to, is that Trump has got a good 40%, and that's it. He really hasn't gone beyond that. And so what you have here, if you're a student of politics, maybe 6 months ago, UK Labour, for instance, had a very same thing where they had Jeremy Corbyn, pretty much ousted Ed Miliband on the left. They had 3 sort of establishment candidates running against Corbyn. Those 3 individuals stayed in the race. Corbyn still managed to win UK Labour. Trump is in almost the exact same condition where he doesn't quite have a majority of the Republican base, but he's got a plurality of it, and you've got several candidates chopping up the remainder. So the question is do those candidates actually coalesce at some point in time? Do you see mass dropouts from the, 15 people that are running? And does this become a Trump versus everybody else kind of deal? Or does it continue to have 3 very, moderately well-funded candidates, and they're splitting that vote, which would allow Trump, as soon as you get to winner-take-all primaries, to really start running the table in a big way? We don't know quite yet, but that's the dynamic that people need to watch.
Well, that's it. And once the anti-Trump coalition coalesces, like you say, around one candidate, that can be problematic. And especially when you get to these winner-take-all primaries. That's why I think the biggest threat to a Trump nomination is John Kasich, and I'll tell you why. I think he's going to finish second in New Hampshire. I think he's closing and peaking at the right time there. If he does that and he can hang in, if he can be the last man standing and get to these Midwestern winner-take-all primaries, Shaun, he can start to win. He can win Illinois. He can win Ohio. He can win Wisconsin. He can win Michigan. These are all big numbers. They're all winner-take-all. He can sweep the Midwest. If he does that, we're going to Cleveland. Then it's going to be an open ballot.
Well, again, a lot of people are looking at it right now and saying that it might be a brokered convention. The thing is that you heard a lot more of that a month ago than what you saw now.
Right.
And what you're seeing now is that a lot of the, quote-unquote establishment types, the Beltway insiders and whatnot, are starting to look at Donald Trump and starting to see the writing on the wall. Which, obviously, there's certain people such as myself that say, well, gee, is that really what's going down? That the establishment's going to line up behind Trump because they see inevitabilities? Or, is this going to be a different song and dance at the end of the day? The very idea, though, that certain individuals are starting to get comfortable with the idea of a Trump candidacy lends itself to the idea this might not be a brokered convention. Trump might actually run the table here.
It's very possible. And look, a lot of these people that are looking at Trump now, Shaun, they're accustomed to having a seat at the table. A lot of them are big donors. They're bundlers. They get in by raising money and having big fundraisers. They've been shut out of the Trump orbit. And now they're panicking because, they want influence. They don't really know how to get there. And so I think this is going to be an interesting dilemma as we go forward. But I think we're on the same page. Trump wins Iowa. Okay, Democratic side, Iowa, I'm predicting Bernie Sanders wins bigger than anybody sees right now. What say you?
Oh, it's going to be marvelous watching Bernie Sanders win in Iowa and New Hampshire, if only for the fact that it shows how absolutely crazy and held in thrall the Democrats are to the progressive left. The scary thing is that Bernie Sanders might actually win Iowa and New Hampshire. I mean, who would have thought that somebody with Bernie Sanders' proclivities would be considered a serious candidate on the left? And yet, Bernie Sanders is riding really tall in the saddle right now, and the presumptive frontrunner over there for the establishment left with Hillary, staring down an FBI indictment. I mean, holy cow! I mean, it's not that surprises most folks. But still, I mean, the idea that Bernie Sanders could actually be their nominee, the very concept that you would have a Trump-Sanders election, holy cow, every prognosticator in the world, there's not a single person in the country that saw that coming. And if they tell you that they did, they're lying to you. So,
Shaun, let's get to this pledge. There's a meeting of the State Central Committee of the Republican Party on January 30th. There's also there's emergency legislation in the House voted by Chap Peterson, in the Senate, to get rid of this thing. What are the chances of the pledge going away and why?
The chances of that happening are held within the hands of a court. The real question at this rate is, even if Chap Peterson's legislation managed to be passed, I'm not so sure it's going to have much of an impact on the March elections, and here's why. The Virginia State Board of Elections has already started issuing guidelines, provisional ballots, what have you. It's going to be very difficult for them to wind that back. Obviously, a court could still mandate such a change. That would certainly put a lot of strain on the registrars. And look, I'll tell you right now, John, there's no way in hell I'm signing that damn pledge.
So, we're going to go in, and they're going to give it to us, and I'm the same way. I'm adamantly opposed to it. It's a taxpayer-funded primary. My 87-year-old mother says she's been voting in Republican primaries since Wendell Willkie. She's not going to sign it. So what are they going to tell my mom? What are they going to say when she says, no, give me my ballot, I'm not signing this stupid thing? What happens?
They're going to hand her a provisional ballot, and that's exactly what they're going to do to you, to me, and to anybody else who doesn't think they need to be passing a litmus test before exercising a constitutional right. Look, at the end of the day, let's be very honest about this. This punishes one candidate and one candidate alone,
Trump.
And that's Donald Trump,
right.
And it helps one candidate and one candidate alone, and that's
Cruz.
presumptively, Ted Cruz.
Yes.
This is not something that's being done innocently. It's not something that's benign. It's not something that has to be done, believe it or not. Now, the State Central Committee could try winding this back at their next meeting. I believe that is within a week. But the question is whether or not they have the guts to do it. This just screams weakness, and we've been over this before. But there's no reason in the world, in a taxpayer-funded primary, why you should have to pass a litmus test. If we wanted to protect our rights of free association, there's a nomination method that gives us that right. It's called a convention. We should have voted up a convention. We had the votes to do a convention. It got turned down by one vote, and that is a shame. But at the end of the day, there's no reason in the world why we should be having a litmus test enforcing a right to vote. We've done that in Virginia before. It's never turned out well.
Shaun, you are so right. I mean, I've done a 180. I've told everybody this. I was pro-primary. You know that. I ran ads for that for about 12 months. I thought the 2013 convention, I was aghast with the whole thing. I'm not from Virginia. I couldn't believe my eyes. But I've now done a 180 because I think Republicans should control their nominating process. And look, they had enough people on State Central to vote for the convention. A couple people flipped at the final minute. They got a primary. Now shut up. Go run your primary. Otherwise, go get the votes for the convention. So I think you've hit it right on the head. And this is very annoying. I'm so upset by this. We'll see how it plays out. No question. Shaun, John Whitbeck looked like he's the chairman of the Republican Party of Virginia, looked like he was Cruiseville to a re-election, wasn't even going to get a challenger. Then he straddled this pledge thing, defended the indefensible, really didn't take a position opposed to it, hid behind the apron of the state committee, said he was defending them. Now he's getting a stiff challenge in the convention in Harrisonburg. I think it's April 29th, state convention by Vince Haley, works for Newt Gingrich, ran for state senate. Shaun, I got to tell you straight out, this is a serious challenge. I think this is a very close race. What say you?
Well, obviously, I've worked for Mr. Whitbeck, and so I'm very loath to criticize him. He's a good man. Just trying to do the best of what he has. However, he's a good man who's made several mistakes, and I think that you're seeing that in Vince Haley's popularity at this point in time. I mean, a lot of folks that were sort of tepid about endorsing John Whitbeck have flipped at this rate. Certainly, the Tea Party is behind Vince Haley. You look at Vince Haley's credentials, his accolades. This is not a guy that's your typical GOP activist here. This is a guy that's devoted the better part of 20 years to conservative activism. He's bled in the trenches. He's a known quality amongst folks. I actually got to know him back in 2007, where he endorsed Jim Bowden, a very good friend of mine, stalwart conservative in the 1st District after Joanne Davis passed away, and there was an 11-person convention. So Haley's been involved in our conventions before. He knows their strength. He knows their quality. He certainly got the endorsement of a lot of good people, good conservatives, friends that I know. I mean, look, Vince Haley's the real deal. There's no question about that. He's not a loon. He's a good, pragmatic conservative that believes in the strength of our conventions and believes in an independent voice for the state party. I mean, at the end of the day, you start stacking that up to what we've seen over the interregnum. Vince is going to be a formidable candidate. There's no question about it. There's a lot of people that are really excited about where he's headed and what he wants for the state party. I think folks owe it to give him a listen and then make up their own mind as to who's going to best provide for the next 4 years of the future of the GOP in Virginia.
Shaun, Kenney, this is a very serious challenge, and I'll tell you why. There's a number of people that are going to be showing up at the state convention in Harrisonburg on April 29th, I believe it is, and we're going to be hopefully there broadcasting live. I'm going to be there. But the thing is, there's a lot of people showing up that are coming to support the statewide Trump delegate slate and other slates of candidates that are not necessarily involved in the process. Those people that come out for a certain candidate, they're going to be open to change because they're mad about the pledge. This pledge thing it has the potential to sink Whitbeck's reelection. He should get rid of it. If he does, the rationale for a challenger's candidacy narrows dramatically. Shaun, Kenney, we're out of time. Read Shaun. Go to bearingdrift.com.